exercises, slightly different than what we've done the last 2 days, but we will start laying flat on our backs again with a body scan. I'm going to mute everyone. Good, so we'll start at the top of our head. Just see how your head feels today. Go ahead and just tilt it a little bit from side to side if you want to, and just see how your neck feels. And moving from your head and your neck and into your shoulders. Paying attention to how your shoulders feel. How do your shoulder blades feel on the floor today? And moving through your shoulder blades down through your arms. Just noticing how you're laying with your arms today. Are your palms facing up? Are they facing down? Do you have your hands on the floor? Are they close to your body? Are they far away from your body? And then moving from your arms back into your torso. And in your torso, moving through your abdominal muscles and into your low back. How does your low back feel today? Does it feel tight? Is there tension or pain there? And moving from your low back and into your hips. Just noticing the weight of your hips today. How do they feel? And from your hips, moving down through your legs. To your feet. Good. Okay, we're going to start with our flatten and tilts, just like we did yesterday. So we're going to bend our knees and bring our feet to standing on the floor. Arms will just stay laying comfortably beside you. And remember, we're going to start this movement super small. We're going to do it flattens, then we'll do our tilts, and then we're going to put them together in a fluid motion, but we're going to keep them all very small. So we're going to start with the flatten. So we're going to inhale first. Exhale, rolling your pubic bone towards your ribs, pulling your ribs to your pubic bone as your low back flattens to the floor. Hold for a moment. And exhale, super slowly, begin to release. Slowly with control, releasing in your abdominal muscles. And when you finished releasing, make sure to rest. Then we're going to do that same one again. So inhale first. And exhale, rolling your pubic bone up and forward towards your ribs, pulling your ribs down to your pubic bone, flattening your low back into the floor. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release. Super slow. As you exhale, super slowly releasing with as much control as you can. And make sure to rest. And we're going to do that same one again. Inhale first. And exhale, bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs, pulling your ribs down to your pubic bone as your low back flattens into the floor. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release. Super, super slow. And when you've finished releasing in your tummy muscles, make sure to rest. And now we're going to go into our tilt. So this one we're going to do with an inhale. So inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Just a small little tilt. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super slowly begin to release. Slow and smooth. And when you finish releasing, make sure to rest. And we're going to repeat the tilt again. Inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Hold for just a moment. And exhale super, super slowly. as slow and smooth as you can, releasing the tilt in your hips, letting them float back down to their neutral rested position. And rest when you finished. And same one more time. Inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor, creating just a small arch in your low back. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super, super slow and smooth. Releasing in the tilt. Slowly letting your pelvis come back to neutral. And rest. And now we're going to put those two movements together, and you're going to rock back and forth between them very slow and very gently. And we're going to start with the tilt. So inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super, super slowly, releasing in the pelvis, slowly letting it float back down. And at the very end of the release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs to your pubic bone as your low back flattens to the floor. Hold for a moment. Slowly begin to release in your abdominal muscles now. Slowly with control. And then going straight back into the tilt at the end of that release, tilting your hips by rolling your tailbone forward and down to the floor. Hold for a moment. Exhale super, super slowly. Begin to release. Slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of that release, going straight into flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone as you flatten your low back into the floor. Hold for a moment, slowly releasing. Super slow and smooth. Releasing in your tummy muscles with as much control as you can. And at the very end, going into tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Holding for a moment, super slowly releasing. Super, super slow, with as much control as you can. And at the very end of the release, going into flatten again, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone as you flatten your low back down. Hold for just a moment and super slowly begin to release. And at the end of this release, you're going to rest. Excellent. So we're going to roll onto our sides. And so just so my directions are clear, let's have everybody roll onto their right side first. Remember, if it's not comfortable for you in this position, don't do it. If you need to add some cushions, you certainly can. So you're going to be on your side with your right arm laying under your head. And then I would like you to bring your knees up so your legs are bent like you're sitting in a chair. So your knees will be straight out from your hips and your feet will be straight down from your knees. And make sure those feet are straight down from the knees. Try not to have them tucked under your chair, if that makes sense. All right, we're going to start this movement with the bottom part of our body. So what you're going to be doing is rotating your top thigh forward, keeping your knees together, which will lift your top foot only an inch or two off of the bottom foot. So go ahead and give that a try. Rolling your top thigh forward, your knees stay together. Knees stay together, right down and together. Yep. Now roll your leg. Yes, so your foot lifts off your other foot. And when you do that, you should feel your hip coming up towards your armpit. Now super slowly with control, let that foot lower back down to touching the other foot. With slow, smooth control. And once your foot is down on the other leg, you're going to rest. And some of you may notice some bumps and glitches in this movement. Of course, that's what we're looking for, and we really want to smooth those out. So when you're rotating that top thigh, think of bringing that top thigh, like rotating it sort of down towards the floor. And what that will do is lift your top hip up towards your armpit. So we're going to do that one again. Rotating the top leg. Good. Lifting the foot just slightly off the other foot. Your left hip is now lifting up towards the left armpit. Hold for a moment. Super slowly lowering that foot back down. So where you're releasing is in your obliques in your side on the left. You should feel that muscle slowly releasing as the leg slowly comes back down. And once your foot is back down onto the other foot, make sure to rest. And now we're going to add the upper body in at the same time. Now, some of you I can see have your arm in front of you and your hand on the floor. If that's where you're most comfortable, you can certainly leave it there. I usually do both. I'll either put my hand there, and the other thing you can do is lift that top arm and bring it up over top of your head if you would like to, if you feel like you need some support in your head. And then your fingertips can be just sort of on the side of your head. So now we're going to add in the upper body with that bottom leg. So when you're rotating the top leg, you're also going to lift your head and your chest, drawing your armpit towards that hip. So all together, rotating the top leg, lifting your foot just slightly, and lifting your head, drawing your armpit towards the hip. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to lower. Super, super slow and smooth. And when everything is back down, make sure to rest. And I can't quite see all of you, but I just want, if you guys can look at me for a second quickly, I'm just going to show you what the other arm, the top arm, it could be doing this to help draw the armpit towards the hip, or it can be laying in front of you. So whichever is more comfortable. Okay, I'm going back to Courtney's view now. Good. All right, let's do that same one again. And this time let's do it with an exhale. So we're going to inhale first. Exhale, rolling the left leg forward, gently lifting your foot, drawing your left armpit towards your hip as you lift your head and your chest. Perfect. Hold for a moment. Super slowly begin to release. Super slow with control, letting your head come back down and your foot come back down. Once your foot is rested on top of the other foot, make sure to remind yourself to rest. We'll do that same one again. Inhale first. And exhale, rolling the top leg, lifting your left foot slightly off the right foot, lifting your head and chest, drawing your left armpit towards your left hip. Hold for a moment. Super slowly begin to release. Super, super slow and smooth. As slow and smooth as you can. And once everything is back down, make sure to rest. And one more time. Inhale first. And exhale, lifting the top foot slightly, lifting your head and chest, drawing your left armpit towards your left hip. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super slow, lowering everything back down as slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And then we're going to roll to our other side. So now you'll be rolling so that your left side is down to the floor. Your knees will be bent with your knees straight in front of your hips and your feet straight down from your knees. And we're going to start with just the bottom part, just like we did on the other side. So your bottom arm can be making a pillow under your head. Just make sure you're comfortable. And we're going to start by rotating now the right leg. So you're rotating the right hip forward as you lift the right foot just gently off the other foot. Hold for a moment. And super slowly lowering the foot back down to the floor. As slow and smooth as you can. And rest. We're going to do that same one again. Rotating the top leg, lifting your foot just gently, slightly off the other foot, noticing that that will hike your hip gently up towards the armpit as you rotate that leg. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to lower. Super, super slow and smooth. With as much control as you can, really watching for those bumpy, glitchy spots so we can work to smooth those out. Make sure to rest when you've lowered that foot. And then we're going to add in the upper body now. So if you want to bring that arm up and over your head, you can. And we're going to inhale, and then we'll start the movement with an exhale. So inhale first. And exhale, lifting your head and your chest, drawing your right armpit towards your hip, and lifting your right foot slightly off the left. Hold for a moment and slowly begin to lower as you exhale now. Super slowly releasing in your side, slowly letting your head come back down, slowly letting your hip come down as your foot comes back down to rest on top of your other foot. And rest. And we're going to start another one. Inhale first. And exhale, lifting your head and chest, drawing your right armpit towards the right hip as the right hip lifts, your right foot slightly lifting off of the bottom foot. Hold for a moment. And exhale, super slowly begin to lower. Super, super slow and smooth. And remember to stay in your comfort zone. When everything is lowered back down, make sure to rest. And then we're going to do one more on that side. So inhale first. And exhale, drawing the right armpit towards the right hip, rotating the top thigh forward as that foot lifts. Hold for a moment. And super, super slowly lowering back down to the floor. As slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And when you're ready and without rushing, we're going to roll onto our bellies next. And when you've rolled to your belly, you're going to have both hands like this, with your forehead just resting on your hands. So your head will be straight down, forehead resting on the back of your hands. So the first movement we're going to do in this position is called peekaboo. And what you're going to do is just be lifting your head off of your hands. So when you're ready, lifting your head off your hands, so your hands and arms stay on the floor. Your head lifts up only to where it's comfortable. And if you want to, you can take your eyes even up towards the ceiling. But again, stay in your comfort zone. Super slowly now begin to lower your head and your chest back down. As slow and smooth as you can. And once your head is back down to your hands, make sure to rest. And now for this next one, your head and your hands are going to stay on the floor, and you're going to lift your elbows up towards the ceiling. And again, if it hurts at all to do this, just do it in your imagination. So go ahead and lift your elbows. Head and hands stay on the floor. Elbows are lifting towards the ceiling. Hold for just a moment. Super slowly begin to lower the elbows back down, as slow and smooth as you can. And when your elbows are back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And then we're going to do one more peekaboo. So this time your arms, your elbows and hands will stay on the floor, and your head will come up. So head and eyes lifting up towards the ceiling, only to where you're comfortable. And then super slowly lowering back down. Remember also that as your head is lowering back down, I want you to lower your eyes smooth and slow with your head. Once your head is back down to your hands, make sure to rest. And one more time now with the elbows. So your head and your hands stay on the floor, and your elbows lift up towards the ceiling. Elbows lift. And now super slowly lowering, as slow and smooth as you can. Lowering the elbows back down to the floor. And make sure to rest. And when you finish that one, we're going to go into an over the shoulder. So you're going to leave your right hand where it is, and you're going to bring your left arm down beside your body. Courtney, switch your arms the other way. Yes, that one. That's your right. So now, as you've got your right, so you should have your right arm up beside you, you're going to turn your face so you're looking towards your right elbow. So put your left cheek on the back of your right hand. Your left arm is laying long beside you, your right arm is bent beside, and you're looking towards your elbow. Courtney, turn your head the other way. There we go. Okay, for over the shoulder, we're going to be lifting our head and chest, and today I would like to start with the upper body. So your legs are just going to stay how they are, and we're going to start on an exhale. So inhale first. Exhale, you're going to lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, thinking of bringing your elbow towards the ceiling. So you're just doing a slight twist in this movement, gently looking over your shoulder. Good. Now super slowly lowering your head, your elbow, your arm, everything back down to the floor. Super, super slow and smooth. And make sure to rest. And we're going to do one more with just the upper body. Inhale first. Exhale, lift your head, your chest, your elbow, gently doing just a little turn, looking over that shoulder, staying in your comfort zone though. And super slowly lowering back down to the floor. As slow and smooth as you can. And when your head and your arm and your chest are back on the floor, make sure to rest. And now we're going to add in the lengthening and lifting of the opposite leg. So same thing with this leg lift. Don't lift it too high. It does not matter at all how high it lifts. And in fact, sometimes you're going to get more out of it from the smaller that you do this movement. So at the very most, you're only lifting that foot a foot to 2 feet at max off the floor. When you're ready, inhale first. Exhale, lifting your head, your chest, and your elbow, gently looking over your shoulder, and lengthen and lift the opposite, which is your left leg. Hold for a moment. Super slowly begin to lower. Super, super slow. Releasing back down to the floor as slow and smooth as you can. And make sure to rest. I'm going to repeat that one again. Inhale first. And exhale, lifting your head and your chest, lengthening and lifting the left leg as you gently look over your shoulder. Hold for a moment, super slowly, lowering back down to the floor. Slow and smooth as you can. And make sure to rest. And one more time on that side. Inhale first. Exhale, lengthen and lift the left leg as you lift your head, your chest, your elbow, thinking of bringing the elbow slightly towards the ceiling. Hold for a moment and super slowly releasing. Slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And then we're going to switch everything to the other side. So your right arm will go long beside your body. Your left arm will come up bent. Your right cheek will be laying on the back of your left hand. You'll be looking towards your left elbow. And we'll start with just the upper body for this side as well. So you're going to lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, thinking of lifting your elbow towards the ceiling slightly. Hold for just a moment and super slowly begin to lower. As slow and smooth as you can. Lowering everything back down to the floor. and make sure to rest. And repeating that one again, lifting your head, your chest, and your elbow, gently looking over your shoulder, just the upper body, and slowly lowering back down to the floor. Slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And now we're going to add in the leg lift. So it'll be your opposite leg. We'll start with an exhale. So inhale first. And exhale, lengthening and lifting the right leg, lifting your head, chest, and elbow as you look gently over your shoulder. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to lower as slow and smooth as you can. Really work for control to smooth out that release. And when everything is back to the floor, make sure to rest. And repeating that same one again. Inhale first. And exhale, lengthening and lifting your right leg as you lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, gently looking over your shoulder. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to lower. As slow and smooth as you can. Really working for control in that release. And when everything is back to the floor, make sure to rest. And we'll do one more on that side, starting with an inhale. Inhale first. And exhale. Lengthen and lift the right leg as you lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, gently looking over your shoulder. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to lower. As slow and smooth as you can. Sometimes when I'm doing the slow release, I like to think of fading out music. I don't know if any of you have ever had to do that, but when you have a kid on stage and you have to fade out their music, you got to do it with lots of slow, smooth control if you want it to sound nice. So that's one of the things I like to think about when I'm doing that. All right, when you finish that one, super slowly, you're going to roll back onto your back, and we're going to finish today with a few arching curls. So once you're on your back, you're going to bend your knees, feet will come to standing flat on the floor, and you're going to bring your hands up behind your head, only if you can do that comfortably. I usually like to put just my fingertips behind my ears, but if you're comfortable putting your hands clasped, you sure can. You can also try putting pillows underneath of your elbows if you need to. And we're going to start with the tilt and an inhale. So inhale and tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. At the same time, now you're going to press your shoulder blades into the floor and think of drawing them towards your tailbone. Tilt your head back and let your jaw open softly. Hold for a moment and slowly begin to release now. Exhale as you slowly release the contraction in your back and your hips and your shoulders. Slowly releasing in your neck. And at the end of the release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs down towards your pubic bone. Bring your elbows together, tuck your chin gently, and lift your head and your chest into a soft curled position. Hold that curl for just a moment, and now super slowly lowering your head back down. So really working to smooth out the control in your tummy muscles as your head is lowering back down to the floor. Super, super slow. Once your head is touching the floor, slowly letting your elbows come back down. As slow and smooth as you can. Make sure to rest when you've finished. And then we'll start another one. Inhale first, tilting your hips forward by rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Press your shoulder blades down and draw them towards your tailbone. Tilt your head back. Let your jaw open softly. Exhale, super slowly release the contraction in your back, as slow and smooth as you can. At the end of the release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone. Bring your elbows together and gently lift your head and chest into that soft curled position. Hold for a moment. Super slowly begin to lower back down to the floor. Slowly lowering. When your head is resting on the floor, slowly begin to open your elbows. Slow and smooth as you can. Now on the next one, if you are comfortable with lifting your feet off the floor once you're into that curled position, you can go ahead and give that a try. If you have any issues in your low back or hips, you may not want to do this one. You can just keep your feet on the floor. You can still do the movement, just keep your feet flat on the floor. So we're going to start with the inhale and arch again. Inhale, roll your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Press your shoulder blades down, draw them towards your tailbone. Tilt your head back. Let your jaw open softly. Hold for a moment. Exhale now, super slowly, releasing the contraction in your back. Slowly releasing in your shoulders and neck. And at the end of the release, going into flatten, bring your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone. Bring your elbows together. Gently go into that curl position. And if you're comfortable with it, you can lift your feet off the floor. They only need to lift a few inches. Hold for a moment. Super slowly now, you're going to lower your head and your feet at the same time. Super slow and smooth. And when your head is back down to the floor, let your elbows open as slow and smooth as you can. And when your elbows are back to the floor, make sure to rest for a moment. And then everyone's going to do one more, and you're going to all do it at your own pace. Just remember to start with your inhale, tilt, rolling your tailbone forward, drawing the shoulder blades, tilting your head. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super slowly begin to release. As slow and smooth as you can. And at the end of the release, going into your flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone, elbows together. If you're comfortable with lifting your feet off the floor, you can go ahead and do that again. And then super slowly begin to release. As slow and smooth as you can. And when you get to the end of your release, without rushing, you're going to go back into your body scan position by lengthening your legs and bringing your arms back down beside you. And we're going to start at the top of our head again today. So starting at your head. And if you did do a little bit of turning of your head at the beginning of your scan, like at the beginning of class, make sure to do that again now. And see if you notice any differences between the beginning of class and how you feel now. Moving from your head into your neck and shoulders. How do your shoulders feel now on the floor compared to how they felt at the beginning of class? Moving from your shoulders down through your arms. From your arms to your fingers. Are you holding your arms the same way now that you were at the beginning of class? Moving back into your torso, coming down through your torso, through your belly, to your back. How do they feel now compared to when we started? Does your back feel more relaxed? Does it feel closer to the floor? And into your hips. Do your hips feel the same? How do they feel on the floor? Do you feel like they're lighter or heavier? And moving from your hips down through your legs, all the way to your feet. And when you're ready, without rushing, you roll to your side and come up to a sitting position.